Without learning, men are incapable of knowing their rights, and where learning is confined to a few people, liberty can be neither equal nor universal. Benjamin Rush, 1786.
The year was 1785. America was politically free from the British, but challenges remained. While colleges in New England, called Ivy Leagues, such as Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, were all educating the American youth at a high level, they were based on the systems and ideals of renowned English universities such as Oxford and Cambridge. Within the Ivy League, Puritan piety took center stage in education as ministers were trained there, and sciences and mathematics were often neglected for history, theology, and languages, as Latin was both the primary language for lecturing and communication within the schools. In the new southern states, there was essentially no secondary education whatsoever, yet this does not mean that the people of the South were entirely uneducated. Some small schoolhouses were established to teach children basic skills for operating society, such as reading and basic arithmetic.
For America to maintain the Republican principles of its founding, it needed to forge a new path. New democratic ideals of education were surfacing, but not in the traditional metropolitan centers. Largely considered the backwoods, part of America's burgeoning frontier was the colony of Georgia, and within it, America's first truly public, state-sponsored university would be founded. This was the University of Georgia. Its philosophy and development over more than 200 years have served as a model for public secondary education in America.
At the center of the movement to establish higher education in America was Georgia politician Abraham Baldwin. A native of Connecticut and graduate of Yale, Baldwin moved south after receiving a land grant to set up a law practice in Georgia. Known as a deeply religious man, he was soon offered a position as the professor of divinity at Yale. It was at this point that he realized that Georgia, too, needed an institution of higher education like those in New England. He refused the position and became active in politics, initially serving in the Georgia state legislature, where he campaigned for public education and development of a land grant that would ultimately establish the University of Georgia. Baldwin went on to serve in both the United States Senate and House of Representatives and was a delegate to the Constitutional Convention for the state of Georgia.
In a speech given in the state legislature, Baldwin claimed that attachments to international modes of learning seemed to illuminate America's weaknesses, and for many Southerners, sending their children overseas to study or to other states whose colleges were founded upon foreign ideals seemed utterly unpatriotic. Thus, Baldwin set out about founding his university to provide a well-rounded education where students might gain all they needed to succeed in one place. He stressed the importance of a thorough humanities-based education, repeatedly citing the need for his students to receive intensive literary instruction, learn foreign languages, and perfect their command of English. Furthermore, they were to receive teaching in the fine arts, history, geography, and philosophy. He also wanted students to learn the sciences, including mathematics and measurement, and they would have hands-on experience using the scientific method by performing their experiments in agriculture and botany in his proposed college garden.
Aware that many in the South could not pursue college due to the need to work nearly full-time to support themselves, Baldwin suggested that the university become as self-sufficient as possible. There was to be a farm where produce and animal products would be collected to reduce the operating costs, ultimately lowering the tuition and allowing the school to become more accessible to many.
After 15 long years of planning and building the university, it opened its doors in 1801 under the direction of Josiah Meigs. Meigs' leadership was unique among college presidents at the time. Unlike all others, he was not trained as a minister, but instead was a scientist. His profession inspired him to provide an extensive array of science courses, adding chemistry, biological classification, and astronomy to those that Baldwin suggested. This put the University of Georgia at the forefront of scientific education in America, with New England schools like Yale not offering similar programs until several years later, when it became apparent that they were falling behind.
In 1804, the inaugural class graduated. For the next several years, the university continued to grow. However, in 1806, the secularity of the school threatened to tear it apart. In an increasingly religious climate in the South, the school was forced to adopt Methodism to continue its operations. Moreover, the emerging school was disadvantaged by near constant political upheaval. As tensions grew between the northern and southern states in the build-up to the Civil War, operations ceased multiple times as funds were diverted and the motivations of attendees changed.
Despite this, the mission of the university remained the same. Moses Waddell and Alonzo Church, who succeeded Meigs as president, implemented innovative educational practices, emphasizing the importance of character development alongside intellectual pursuits. Alumni and wealthy Georgians alike began working together to raise money and develop a support system to maintain the university, creating such programs as the University Alumni Society. When the university came out of its final shutdown due to the Civil War, attendance skyrocketed. Enrollment began at a humble 10 students in 1801, and by the early 20th century it had reached upwards of 4,000.
As UGA flourished, so did Athens. The influx of students and faculty brought economic vitality to the town. Local businesses thrived, and the town center evolved into a bustling hub of commerce and culture. Athens became synonymous with education and progress, its trajectory forever altered by the academic institution at its core.
Although the University of Georgia's impact is mostly considered positive in the years following its establishment, it did negatively impact several groups of people. The spread of Athens as a result of the university being chartered encroached upon Native American land. Building roads partitioned Creek land, and the actual opening date of the university was pushed back several times due to a series of territorial disputes known as the Oconee Wars between the state of Georgia and Creek chiefs. African Americans were also discriminated against. Slave labor was utilized to build many early buildings on the campus and to maintain the property. After the Civil War, the school remained segregated until 1961 when a decision by Judge William Bootle overturned it, and black students Charlene Hunter and Hamilton Holmes were allowed to enter the school. White women, too, faced challenges. It was not until 1918 that they could freely enroll.
Examining the state of public education in the South in the mid-19th century when compared to the years before, it is clear that the University of Georgia's founding and operation was a turning point in history. While the standard for a higher education in America before the University of Georgia was founded was mainly to serve as a place for ministerial education, UGA strove to move away from that preconceived notion. Offering high-level sciences and maths, on top of a strong foundation in the humanities, the University of Georgia became the ideal. By 1850, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama, and Virginia had all chartered colleges which were designed to educate young men into morally upstanding citizens in a wide variety of fields, not just religious officials, a nearly identical model to that of the University of Georgia.
While all these state universities incorporated the ideals of the fledgling republic, the University of Georgia expressed these ideals the best, intending to place the youth under the forming hand of society, that by instruction they may be molded to the love of virtue and good order. This statement is echoed in the later charter for Blount College, which eventually became the University of Tennessee, which strove for students to be habituated to an amiable, moral, and virtuous conduct, as well as in the charters of many of the other schools founded in the wake of the University of Georgia.
Today, the University of Georgia stands not only as a prestigious center of education, but as an institution with widespread impact on both the students and the communities at large. The university stands as a highly ranked and successful college considered by many to be a top standard of educational preparedness for many both inside and outside of its home state of Georgia. Ranked within the top 50 public universities for years, UGA remains consistent in its quality.
The University of Georgia prepares its students rigorously, with 96% of students who attended the institution either employed or furthering their education. The University of Georgia noticeably impacts the region it occupies economically as well. The university had a total economic impact on its regional community of more than $2 billion and 25,000 jobs. Both on and off campus can be attributed to the historical success and continued thriving nature of UGA.